Okay class, so for this video, I will be discussing inverse function. So when you say inverse function, it is a process of getting the reverse of a given function. Let's have number 1. Get the inverse of the function f of x is equal to 2x plus 1. Now to get the inverse of that function, f of x is equal to 2x plus 1. The first thing that you will do here is to change f of x to y. Okay, so let's change that to y is equal to 2x plus 1. And then, the next thing that you will do is to interchange x and y. So, y here will be x and x here will be y. So, this will be x is equal to 2y plus 1. And after that, we will be solving for y, or we have to isolate y. So, to isolate y or to solve for y, we have to transpose positive 1. So this will be x minus 1 is equal to 2y. And then we divide both sides by 2. So this will be cancelled out. And this will be y is equal to x minus 1 over 2. Okay? And then just change the symbol. Change y to the symbol of inverse function, which is the inverse of f of x. Okay? The inverse of f of x is equal to x minus 1 over 2. And this is the inverse function. This is the inverse of the function f of x is equal to 2x plus 1. Next, for number 2, prove that the inverse that you got in number 1 is correct using the property stated below. So this is the property. The two functions f and g are inverses of each other if f of g of x is equal to x and g of f of x is equal to x. That is, f of g of x is equal to g of f of x is equal to x. Okay, so let's name the inverse that we got in number 1 as g of x for us to prove that they are inverses of each other using this given property. So the function is f of x is equal to 2x plus 1, going back to number 1, and the inverse is x minus 1 over 2. So let's name the original function still. F of x is equal to 2x plus 1. Okay? And then let's name the inverse that we got as g of x for us to use this property. So g of x is equal to x minus 1 over 2. So again, this is just the inverse that we got in the previous item. Okay. Then, we will be using this property. So we have to substitute g of x to f of x and also f of x to g of x, and both of them should be equal to x. Okay. So let's start first with f of g of x. So f of g of x. So here, we will be substituting g of x to f of x. So we will change this variable to x minus 1 over 2. So this will be 2 over 2 times x minus 1 over 2 plus 1. Again, we just change this variable of f of x to x minus 1 over 2. Okay, then we solve. This can be cancelled out. So this will be x minus 1 plus 1. And x minus 1 plus 1, this will be 0. So it will just be x. Okay. So by property, this is f of g of x is equal to x. Okay. So we are already done with this one. Okay. So the next thing that we have to do is to check if g of f of x is also equal to x. Okay. So with this, kapag na-prove na natin that g of f of x is also equal to x, then we can say that the inverse that we got from number 1 is correct. Okay, so let's solve for g of f of x. So this should be equal to x also. Okay, so this time we will be substituting f of x to g of x. So that will be 2x plus 1 minus 1 over 2. Again, we just change the variable here to f of x. Okay, then we solve. 2x plus 1 minus 1. So this will be 0 plus 1 minus 1 is 0. So that will be 2x over 2. and this can be cancelled out, so it is also equal to x. Okay, so notice that f of g of x is equal to x and g of f of x is also equal to x. Therefore, we can state that f of g of x is equal to g of f of x, which is equal to x. Okay, so with this, since we were able to prove this, we can state that the inverse that we got in number 1 is correct. Okay, next let's proceed to application of inverse function. Let's start with number 1. The initial height of a plant is 3 cm when it arrived at the nursery, and it grew to 3.5 cm exactly 1 week later. Assuming that the height of a particular plant grows a linear function of the number of weeks. Okay, so for letter A, we are to construct a mathematical model for the height of the plant. Since we are to construct a mathematical model for the height of the plant, our f of x is equal to the height of the plant. Okay, height as a function of the number of weeks. So we can say that x is the number of weeks, or the independent variable, and height is the dependent variable, number of weeks. Okay, we are to construct a mathematical model. So let's have the table first for the given situation, x and f of x. So it was stated that the initial height of a plant is 3 cm when it arrived at the nursery. So nung wala pa siya sa nursery, ibig sabihin nun, 0 weeks pa lang siya sa nursery, the height is already 3 cm because this is the initial height. And then it become 3.5 at exactly 1 week. Okay, so meaning, nadagdagan siya ng 0.5. And since it was stated that the height grows as a linear function of the number of weeks, meaning it will grow in the same pattern. So after second week, madadagdagan ulit siya ng 0.5, so magiging 4 cm na siya. After 3 weeks, magiging 4.5 and so on. Okay, and so on. And we are to construct a mathematical model of this given situation. So the mathematical model will be f of x is equal to 3 plus 0.5x. Okay? So this will be the mathematical model of the given situation. So bakit po naging ganito yung mathematical model? Notice na ang starting or initial height niya is 3, and then nadadagdagan siya ng 0.5 every week. That's why plus 0.5 times the number of weeks, which is x. And this is the mathematical model. Next, letter B. Construct a mathematical model for the number of weeks. So meaning our f of x here is the number of weeks. This time, the number of weeks naman po. The number of weeks. And as a function of the height of the plant. So as a function of the height of the plant, meaning our x here, let me just fix that. Our x here is the height of the plant. Number of weeks, and x is the height of the plant. Okay? Now notice that in the previous item in letter A, our f of x is height and x is the number of weeks. But for letter B, f of x here becomes the number of weeks and x becomes the height. So nagkabaliktad yung f of x at x in letter B. So if that's the case, to solve for letter B, we just have to get the inverse of letter A. Okay, so the function that we got in letter A is f of x is equal to 3 plus 0.5x. Okay? 3 plus 0.5x. This is the mathematical model that gives you the height as a function of the number of weeks. Now, to get the mathematical model for the number of weeks as a function of the height of the plant, we just have to get the inverse of this. So, the first thing that we can do again is to change f of x to y. So, this will be y is equal to 3 plus 0.5x. And then we interchange x and y and then solve for y. So, this will be x is equal to 3 plus 0.5y. Okay? 0.5y. Okay. And then we solve for y. So first we will be transposing 3. So this will be x minus 3 is equal to 0.5y. 0.5y. Okay. 0.5y. Okay, and then the next thing that we will do to solve for y is to divide both sides by 0.5. Okay, divide both sides by 0.5. Then this can be cancelled out. Okay, so we will be able to get the function y is equal to x minus 3 over 0.5. Okay, and then we will just change the y value here to f of x, since we use f of x here as the number of weeks. So this will be f of x is equal to x minus 3 over 0.5 over 0.5. Okay, and this will be the mathematical model that will give you the number of weeks f of x as a function of the height of the plant. So again, we just get the mathematical model by getting the inverse of letter A. Okay, so this is the function, original function, and this is the inverse. For letter C, graph the functions created in A and B. Okay, so first let's have the graph for letter A. So the graph of letter A looks like this, the red line here. And then the graph of letter B is this one. Okay, so this is the graph for letter B. Now notice that this is also the original function, the red one, and the green one is the inverse function. Okay, notice that they are symmetrical by this line. Okay, so a line here. And that line is y is equal to x, or f of x is equal to x. They are symmetrical, or they are reflections of each other. Along this line, y is equal to x. And that class is another property of an inverse function. The graph of a function and its inverse are symmetrical along the line y is equal to x, or f of x is equal to x. Okay, so again, that is another property of an inverse function. So pag sinabing symmetrical, it seems like mirror line siya. Okay, so reflection siya yung two lines natin dito, yung green at saka yung red. Okay, and that's it for inverse function. So for the Benedictine hallmark for this lesson, that will be discipline, a way towards learning and freedom. Okay, so that's it for inverse function. Don't forget to like and subscribe to e-sipnayan.